I'm Chris Kenton. I'm in New York catching up with Jonathan Knowles, the CEO of Type 2 Consulting. Jonathan is one of the world's leading experts in marketing finance. He advises businesses on how to optimize marketing to improve shareholder value. It's not about the ROI of individual campaigns, but the application of financial concepts to strategic market planning, an alignment of the interests of the CFO and the CMO. As you'll see for yourself in just a moment, Jonathan has a unique gift, not just for translating between marketing and financial viewpoints, but for developing frameworks and formulas that represent a new foundation for truly strategic marketing. He's a widely published author and a popular speaker, and I don't know anyone doing more to advance the credibility of marketing in the boardroom. But don't take my word for it, see for yourself.
It's absolutely essential to integrate the marketing and the finance perspectives on business, because I think what marketing brings to the table is this profound understanding of what customers value, the multiple sources of value that the company can bring to its customers and for which the customers are prepared to pay. What finance brings to the table is essentially the efficient operations of a business, of how do we deliver that level of value at the lowest possible cost structure. Left to themselves, marketing people will tend to err on the side of over-delivering customer value and probably incurring excessive cost for the business. Left to themselves, finance people will typically focus on engineering the cost structure of the business, assuming that all costs are bad, and they will then tend to underdeliver on the customer value piece. Neither of those approaches is sustainable in the long term, because what happens is the marketing people overinvest in the business and the business itself receives an insufficient return and goes out of business. The finance people will tend to take so much cost out of the business that in the end the customers say, this product isn't worth it, and the revenue of the business disappears. Either way, it's a scenario we want to avoid. And so the important thing is to how do we achieve that appropriate balance between our cost structure and the benefit that we're delivering to customers. And that is what marketing finance is all about. The topic of marketing accountability is a complex one because I think there are a number of different concepts nested within that. That the concept is not really about ROI, the formula for how you calculate the return on a specific investment. It's about the bigger topic of accountability. And I think accountability has three main dimensions to it, the first two of which are not often recognized by marketers. They recognize the third dimension, which is the one of measurement, but they fail to recognize the first dimension, which is that most of their colleagues are skeptical about whether marketers care about increasing the value of the business. The second hurdle that marketers face is the one of materiality. Does marketing really matter to a business? So does it really matter what the marketing people do? And the third is the question of measurement. Are marketing people prepared to measure themselves on metrics that matter to the rest of the business? So I think those are three discrete challenges, and many marketers, the mistake I see many marketers making is leaping to the third, that in assuming that any conversation needs to end up at ROI. And there are two problems with this. The first is that you don't address the larger conceptual problem about what is the role of marketing in business success. And the second problem is that ROI is inherently a short-term financial metric, and that it's a tragedy that in trying to show greater accountability by embracing ROI as a concept, marketers have actually reinforced finance people's perception that marketing is a short-term tactical discipline. Let me explain why that's the case. Because the ROI formula, which is net cash flow received minus investment divided by investment, has no time value of money in it. The implication of that is that the cash flows received and the cash flows incurred occur in the same time period, namely the next 12 months typically. So ROI is good at measuring efficiency where return is anticipated, the totality of return is anticipated within a 12-month horizon. Therefore, the ROI formula doesn't actually allow for a brand building element, because that may incur cash flows or generate cash flows at a period beyond the next 12 months. The recommendations that I would make to senior marketers fall into three broad buckets, and they address the three hurdles that I believe senior marketers need to overcome. The first hurdle is communicating that marketing has the same objectives as every other function in the business, namely to increase the value of the business. Marketing is not about winning yellow pencils or creativity awards. It is about positioning the product and the company itself as relevant to customers, different from competitors, and worth the money. So the first question is that marketers need to communicate, and many of them don't recognize this need, is to say that marketing shares the same objectives as the rest of the business. We want to increase its profitability, we want to increase its growth, we want to reduce the apparent risk of the business. The second area of recommendations is the materiality of marketing. I think it's essential for marketers to be able to give a rule of thumb to say the difference between a company with an effective marketing strategy and one with an ad hoc assemblage of tactics is the following. Marketing is able to move the needle in a material way. It may be 30%, it may be 50%, it may be doubling the value of the business. I think the context depends on growth and profit. The third area of recommendation is really to embrace metrics, to define the business metrics on which the contribution of marketing should be measured. I don't think marketers can evade this issue of measurement, but they can choose the metrics on which it is most appropriate to measure their contribution. And I think engaging in that discussion is, it's not desirable, it's absolutely essential. Let me talk about the importance of marketers embracing business metrics rather than marketing metrics. Because for marketers to understand how value is created, you have to know that changes in attitude do not in and of themselves create changes in value of a business. It is only when customer behavior is changed that the value of a business changes. So measuring brand equity in terms of purely attitudinal measures is insufficient to prove the business case for marketing. To prove the business case for marketing, you need to prove that customer behavior is changed in a way that customers voluntarily give more revenue to the business than the economic costs of generating that revenue. That is how marketing adds value to the business. Now that could be measured in terms of extra premium paid or extra volume sold or speed through the funnel and therefore a reduction in the costs of the business. Anything that adds to the profit of the business, the growth of the business, or reduces the discount rate of the business, i.e. the risk of the business, will add to the value of the business. So the most conclusive arguments for the business contribution of marketing are those that ultimately frame the contribution of marketing in terms of its impact on profitability, growth and risk. It really is that simple. My vision for marketers is that they are extremely articulate about what they are and are not responsible for, so that they are responsible for the creation, the communication and the delivery of customer value and everything that touches the customer experience. I think that the current situation is because marketing is interpreted as just the final piece in the equation where an existing product gets dressed up and promoted to customers, people assume that that's all that marketing is. It's trying to convince people to buy things that they might not have bought in any case. And I think it's a tragedy because it's a misuse of marketing resources and it completely debases the value of marketing. I think, as I've explained already, the value of marketing is understanding how a company can bring unique value to its customers and to work with finance to do so in a way that leaves an adequate level of profitability for the business. That is the basis of sustainable business.